like
well,
that.
no, I have a memo here. Let's see how I can find it. Here we go. This, it's not a very good photocopy, but it's the best I could get. The date is December 13th or 18th.
Yeah, I'm going to get my glasses. Excuse me. Okay.
The date is December 13th, 1963.
Yeah.
Now this would have been,
This is from the investigative division.
this is to
This is to Belmont.
Belmont
From A. Rosen.
from Alex Rosen.
Alex Rosen, yeah.
Lee Harvey Oswald, also known as, now what is that?
Also known as, what, is that XS
That looks like
or YS?
either YS or IS.
Let me hold up the light here. I think it's YS. YS.
Dash.
YS, that's, RS means Russia.
Mhm.
That, and of course the other is spelled out.
Now what would that mean?
YS. I don't know what that means. Now we have symbols for informants.
Mhm.
Now, like if it was a New Orleans informant, it'd be NO
Mhm.
dash 5234.
Mhm.
See, now what? I wonder if that's the initial. I'm trying to think of an organization. If that's if those are the initials of an organization that that he was connected with and under investigation, it wouldn't be the Fair Play for Cuba. YS. He never was connected with the Young Socialist group, to my knowledge. I can't tell you what that
No,
is.
actually, that may not be. You see, that's here's an S. That is oh, I think. You think that could be an 8?
8?
It's very strange because you see, it's not quite an 8 and it's not quite an S because here's an S and it's not doesn't look the same.
No, it doesn't. But it looks more like an S than
But it says also. I don't know.
also known as. Also known as. Lee Harvey also known as. Y8 or YS. But why the Y? What would that stand for? May I express to you, and it is relevant to what you're trying to arrive at, may I express to you a strong conviction that you can never get at the whole truth of Lee Harvey Oswald until you're permitted to go in and study that entire file. This business of selecting paper like this and giving it to you is not at all adequate and not sufficient for an understanding of what you're trying to arrive at.
That's what I'm trying to get at because what I think this is. You notice up here is written by hand, root in envelope.
Yes, that was sensitive mail. You're rooting in the middle.
There is no file number on here.
The file number be down here. There's no file number here. Now let me see about who else got this. I ought to know these people.
One of them is you.
Deloach.
One of them
And
is
myself.
Yes.
One's myself. Deloach and myself got this. Now let's see what's over here. And it doesn't matter much, I guess, who took Minman now. That's the dictator in Rosen's division. Yeah, it looks like WST, doesn't it?
Probably. Could that be Turner?
No, Elbert. He wouldn't be in that division. Turner was in my division.
I see.
Turner's in my division.
Now, I understand that the way and you correct me if I'm wrong, that the information would go from Shanklin to Rosen to Belmont to Hoover.
That's right.
And then at the point, Rosen would send copies to you and Deloach.
Right. I also think that where it pertained to something strictly security, strictly subversive, which is a poor word, but we used it, it would come in to go from Shanklin directly to my division. And unless it was marked to my personal attention, it would go to the desk handling the Oswald case, and then if they say of sufficient importance, they write a memorandum for me, and I send it to Belmont, and it go on up. But it could come in directly to my division, just as it could come in directly to Rose's division.
And you say this is sensitive matters were rooted in an envelope.
Yeah, and rooted in an envelope, yes.
How many of these kinds of things were there?
Oh, many.
10, 100?
Many sensitive memoranda were written. I can't, so many years ago, I can't give you a figure, but there were many of them. Many of them were sensitive and put in an envelope.
Now, were these things filed with a serial number?
They should have been. All I can tell you is that every one of those should have been given a serial number and should have been filed and ultimately go into the general index. Every single one of them should have a serial number, should be filed. Now that's not a do not file memo, is it?
Doesn't say do not file.
No, that's not. That'll go into the general index.
But yet there's no number on it.
Well, at that point it hadn't been processed. You mean there's no serial number on it down
right.
here? Yeah, it hadn't been processed. Sometimes you'll see on the side, you'll see EXP, and that means expedite processing.
Mm-hmm.
That means to rush it as fast as you can. No, that was sent along, and it wasn't before it was indexed. But I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be right now, today, in the Bureau indices with a serial number on it. But I don't see why they didn't give you that with a serial number on it instead of what they gave you. The Bureau gave you this, of course.
I don't know where this came from. One of the guys in our office got it, and I don't know where he got it from.
You see, everything should have a serial number on it, and therefore what goes to you, unless they obliterate it for reasons of their own, it should have a serial number on it. It should be numbered. Now, in a very strange way, you perhaps read in the newspaper about a memorandum allegedly that I outwrote concerning burglaries. Now, the initials were obliterated, and all that appeared on it was Sullivan to Deloach. And it was a very strange memorandum because it clearly created in the minds of the reader and in your own mind, if you read it, that I was the one responsible for the memorandum. But I knew darn well I wasn't, and I protested, and I got this thing reversed. It is written by Fred J. Baumgartner. My initials were put on there by Joseph A. Sizell. I never prepared the memo. I never read the memo. I never approved the memo. I never saw the memo. And yet, when it was sent to the U.S. Senate Select Committee...
You're talking about the black bag jobs.
Black bag jobs, yeah, what I call burglars. That the whole thing looked as though it was set up to make people believe I was the one that wrote it. You see, there's a lot that goes on that's a little bit strange, to put it mildly. Now, to come back to an essential point, I can't see how you and your associates can get the whole truth of what you're driving at, and this is of national interest, if not international. I can't see how you can get the whole truth unless you can go into the FBI and say, I want to see the entire file on Oswald, and I want also an affidavit from an appropriate authority in the Bureau saying that there's nothing being held outside this file bearing on this case in the Bureau which is not being shown to me. I can't see how you can get at the truth otherwise. I cannot see how you can get at the truth otherwise. Because, I don't need to tell you this. Certainly you know that when an enormous organization like the FBI, with tremendous power still, can sit back and shuffle the deck of cards and pick out the card they want to show you, it may be that you're not going to get the entire picture as fully as you would otherwise. Do you agree with me on that?
Yes, a few days ago, Jack Anderson wrote, quote, "The FBI withheld from the Warren Commission hundreds of documents about the assassination of President Kennedy. These are raw FBI files which the Commission requested but never received." Unquote. Are you familiar?
Now, this could be. Now, here would be the explanation. Acceptable or unacceptable. The explanation would be, well, most of these are pertain to administrative matters, and therefore wouldn't be of any interest to the Warren Commission. Or they were not in some other way relevant, you see. That would be an explanation. Now, I'm unaware personally, from my own knowledge, that the Warren Commission requested certain documents and the Bureau didn't give them, the documents to them. I don't have personal knowledge of that, but it could very well be. Yeah.
Are you confident that the documents you saw were untouched, that they were the raw data? That the documents that you saw were not laundered before they got to you?
I have no reason to believe that they were laundered before they got to me.
Do you have any reason to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was, in fact, an informant, paid or unpaid?
Do I have any reason to believe that he was an informant, paid or unpaid? All that I know is that I did hear that an approach was made to develop him as an informant. I've never seen it in writing. It was a hearsay, but I did hear it. But I've never seen anything in writing.
Now you know that in Lee Harvey Oswald's notebook, Hosty's name, address, and license number were listed.
No, if I knew that, I'd forgotten it. I may have known it. Somebody must have told me that, but I don't remember it.
And in a report made for the Warren Commission by the Bureau, it listed all of the names in the book, including Governor and Mrs. Connolly, as I recall. But Hosty's name was left out.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. Is that so? Well, now, how can they explain that? How can they explain that?
Not very well. They've explained it. And if you like, I've got a manuscript here, an unpublished manuscript by I think a very solid researcher. And if you like, I can leave it with you overnight, and I could stop by tomorrow. We could talk about it some more.
I'd be glad to. Yeah, sure. Could be. Yeah.
And he goes into this in some length. Now, that report was prepared by Special Agent Gemberling.
I've heard of that.
In Dallas.
I've heard of Gimberlin. Gimberlin?
I think it's Gemberling. Gemberling.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Who is still there. Although I understand he had a heart attack, serious heart attack, about a few months ago, and he's not in very good shape. He is also, from what I have been able to learn, one of the people who was aware in the Dallas office of that note.
Now that note which was destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'll leave that with you, and then we can talk about it some more tomorrow.
Yeah, you want to continue this discussion?
If you have time, I'd like to.
Yes, I'm kind of tired now.
Okay.
And but I'll be glad if I can, as I say, if I've been any help to you, I'll be glad to stay over tomorrow.
Okay. Were you planning to go back to New Hampshire, Ma?
Oh, tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. Well, I can come by in the morning.
Be fine. Be fine.
Now I have that list of 38 names. Do you want to go over them now, or do you want to?
I suppose we hit them in the morning.
Okay.
I'll be all right.
Sure.
Kind of tired. And we'd hit them in the morning.
Okay.
Now, I wish to goodness I was up home and you could stay overnight at my home. Maybe it'd been better to have you up home. And
no, that's perfectly okay. I can find a place. And let's see what I do with this thing. Oh, it's in my briefcase.
See if I can.
This is